100 travelers watched as Officer Darren Pike slammed FBI Deputy Director Malcolm Hayes against a luggage cart. "My identification is inside my coat," Malcolm said calmly. Pike laughed. "And I'm the president." Handcuffs clicked shut. A flight attendant lifted her phone. A silver bracelet spilled from a briefcase onto the floor. 2 body cameras sat dark. What Pike didn't know: the man he mocked commanded the very agency about to walk through that door. The first thing Officer Darren Pike did was knock the leather briefcase from Malcolm Hayes' hand. The second was drive him against a steel luggage cart while more than 100 travelers watched. "Stop resisting." Malcolm's hands were open. One palm rested against the cart's cold rail. The other hovered exactly where Pike had ordered him to keep it. The officer's forearm crushed the wool of Malcolm's coat against his ribs. Above them, a boarding announcement continued in a pleasant recorded voice while suitcase wheels stopped and phones rose across the concourse. Malcolm did not raise his voice. "Officer, my identification is inside my coat. My name is Malcolm Hayes. I am the Deputy Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation." Pike laughed once, short and contemptuous. "And I'm the president." His partner, Officer Evan Mercer, stood 2 steps away. Mercer had glimpsed the black credentials case when Malcolm opened his coat. He had also seen that Malcolm was unarmed, composed, and following every command. Doubt crossed his face, but it did not move his feet. Pike pulled Malcolm's arms behind him. 2 clicks closed the handcuffs. Near a coffee kiosk, a flight attendant in a Navy uniform held her phone steady. Her name was Claire Donnelly. She had heard Malcolm offer his license before Pike ever touched him. "He showed you identification," she said. Pike turned his head. "Back up, unless you want to be detained too." Malcolm looked at the dark indicator on Pike's chest, then at Mercer's. "Your body camera isn't recording. Equipment fails," Pike said. "Both of yours." The crowd shifted closer. Not to interfere, but to make certain that 2 disabled cameras would not erase what was happening. Pike raised his radio. Possible theft suspect at Carousel 7. There had been no theft, no report, no dispatch call. And Pike knew that Malcolm knew it. The confrontation had begun less than 2 minutes earlier. Malcolm had lifted his gray suitcase from the carousel and checked the red tag bearing his initials. Pike approached without a call from dispatch and asked him to prove the bag was his. Malcolm pointed to the tag and offered the airline receipt on his phone. Pike examined neither. His attention stayed fixed on Malcolm's tailored coat and the locked briefcase in his hand. "Open it," Pike had ordered. "I can show you identification, but I cannot open a federal briefcase in a public concourse. People with nothing to hide don't tell police what they won't do," Pike answered, before striking the case from Malcolm's grip. Now the gray security door closed behind them, cutting off the noise of the terminal. In the service corridor, Pike shoved Malcolm forward by the cuffs. Pain shot through his shoulder, weakening one knee. He caught his footing before Pike could call the stumble resistance. Mercer followed with the suitcase and briefcase, but not the bracelet. Malcolm had seen Claire rescue it, and that small act of care kept something inside him from breaking. Interview room 3 was windowless, a camera fixed above a metal table. Pike locked one cuff to a ring bolted into the tabletop, then emptied Malcolm's pockets. Wallet, phone, watch, wedding ring, credentials case. Each object struck the table harder than necessary. When Pike opened the credentials case, Mercer leaned in. The federal badge caught the ceiling light. Beneath it, Malcolm's photograph, full name, security clearance, title. "Darren," Mercer said quietly. "We need to verify this now." Pike stared at the card. For one brief second, Malcolm saw recognition, not belief. Recognition. Pike understood the room had changed and chose to pretend it hadn't. "High-quality counterfeit," he said. "You don't know that. I know what people do when they're caught. They bluff." Malcolm studied him. Confusion would have welcomed verification. Fear might have caused hesitation. Pike showed neither. He was protecting the authority he'd performed in front of the crowd. "Call the FBI's Baltimore field office," Malcolm said. "Ask for Special Agent in Charge, Naomi Chen." Pike opened Malcolm's wallet and counted the bills instead. "You give orders after we confirm who you are. If you believed I carried false credentials, That call would be your first step. You're avoiding it because confirmation ends your control of this room." Mercer looked away. Pike lifted the encrypted laptop from the briefcase. "Do not touch that computer," Malcolm said. "It's federal property. I do not consent to a search. Maybe there's something illegal on it. A valid credential is on this table. An airline receipt matching my bag is on my phone. You've ignored both. This is no longer an investigation." Pike set the laptop aside and began typing a report. Mercer stood near the door, jaw tight, silent. "What was the name of the person whose luggage I supposedly stole?" Malcolm asked. Pike kept typing. "What color was the missing bag? What flight did the owner arrive on? When did dispatch receive the complaint?" No answer. "I asked the questions. You're creating answers because there were none before you put me in handcuffs." A tone sounded 3 times in the corridor. Magnetic locks engaged through the wing. Pike stopped typing. His radio crackled. "All units hold position. Federal Protective Detail entering East Corridor. Supervisor to interview 3 immediately." For the first time, Pike looked directly at Malcolm. Malcolm did not smile. "Put the laptop down." Pike obeyed. The door opened. Naomi Chen entered with 2 federal agents and the airport's duty commander. Small, controlled, and completely still, her eyes moved from Malcolm's cuffed wrist to the credentials on the table, then to the 2 dark cameras. "Release Deputy Director Hayes." Pike spoke too quickly. "We have a possible theft, fraudulent credentials, and a subject who refused lawful commands." "Who reported the theft?" "An anonymous traveler." "What incident number?" "Nothing." Naomi turned to Mercer. "Was either of you dispatched to a stolen luggage call?" Mercer swallowed. "No, ma'am. We initiated contact." "On what basis?" Officer Pike believed the bag might not belong to him. "Did you compare the tag with his identification?" Mercer looked at the red tag still hanging from the suitcase. "No." Naomi faced the duty commander. "Preserve every camera between Gate 24 and this room. Preserve dispatch audio, report history, access logs, body camera records. No internal review begins until an independent evidence team has copies. Our department can handle its own preliminary inquiry. Your department can preserve evidence. It will not investigate itself tonight." Pike's face flushed. "Are you arresting me?" "Not tonight," Naomi said. "Tonight, I'm making sure you can't rewrite what happened before morning." Mercer released Malcolm's wrists. Deep red lines circled the skin. Malcolm rose slowly, shoulder tight, and refused the offered chair. Pike gave a bitter laugh. "He wants equal treatment. But one name brings federal agents through the door. My name brought them through the door. That is the problem. If I'd been a teacher, a mechanic, a college student, you'd already be writing a report that turned your suspicion into my guilt." He turned to Naomi. "I won't participate in this investigation. I'm the complainant. Use an outside prosecutor. Document the chain of custody. Treat my statement like anyone else's." "Understood," Naomi said. "And inventory everything they removed before anyone leaves." Outside, the terminal had become a wall of voices. Claire's video was already spreading. The briefcase knocked away, the offered identification, the dark cameras, the invented radio call, Pike laughing at the title. Claire waited beside the corridor, the wooden box in her hands. "This fell from your case," she said. "I recorded everything." Malcolm opened it. The bracelet was undamaged. "Make 2 copies," he told her. "Keep one where no one from this airport can reach it. Then write down exactly what you remember, before anyone tells you what they think you saw." "I will. Thank you for not looking away." The airport clinic documented swelling in Malcolm's shoulder, abrasions on both wrists, bruising along his ribs, while the doctor photographed the injuries. The airport authority released a statement claiming officers had responded to suspicious activity reported near baggage claim. There had been no report, but the lie reached the public before Malcolm reached his car. Naomi showed him the statement. They moved fast, faster than they checked the luggage receipt. An independent special counsel is being requested tonight. Good. Malcolm looked at the bruises forming beneath the clinic light. Don't let anyone turn this into a story about a missing bodyguard. Pike violated the law he thought only applied to ordinary travelers. My security gap didn't create his choice, it only let the public see it. At 11:15, Malcolm reached home in Annapolis. Renee waited in the kitchen, still in her hospital scrubs. She worked as a trauma nurse. She didn't ask what the news had already shown. She removed his coat and examined him under the warm light, her fingers pausing over the swelling. "They did this after you told them who you were?" "Yes." And the second officer watched. "Yes." Her expression didn't change, but her hands grew gentler. "Sit down." He obeyed her faster than he'd obeyed Pike. On the counter sat a birthday cake beneath a glass dome, and beside it a gift bag for Evelyn. Malcolm placed the wooden bracelet box inside. Renee wrapped ice in a towel and pressed it to his shoulder. "The airport says there was a report." There wasn't. Then why say it? Because the first official version often decides which facts people are willing to hear later. Will it work? It has before. Rennie looked toward the dark window. "I watched him force you down, and for 3 seconds I didn't know if I was about to watch my husband die on somebody's phone. Don't explain procedure to me tonight. Just tell me the truth. Were you afraid?" 30 years of learning to describe danger without giving it control, and the answer still resisted him. Yes, she held his face in her hands. "Then that belongs in the record, too." They told Evelyn the next morning before television could. She sat at the breakfast table in a blue dress, the silver bracelet already circling her thin wrist. She listened while Malcolm described the handcuffs, the false radio call, the room where Pike kept typing after seeing the badge. When he finished, she turned the bracelet until the engraving faced upward. "Do you remember why you joined the Bureau?" "I thought carrying the badge might make boys who look like me prove themselves one fewer time." "And did it?" He looked at the marks around his wrists. "For some people, sometimes not enough." She covered his hand with hers. "Then stop asking the badge to do the work. Make the truth do it." Before they cut the cake, the airport's lawyers requested a confidential meeting, a public apology, medical expenses paid, an early settlement if all parties agreed never to discuss it. Malcolm read the proposal once and set it beside his untouched coffee. No, because it isn't enough money. Because they're trying to purchase silence before anyone learns what silence has already cost other people. He called Naomi. "Decline the meeting. Tell Public Affairs to call me a traveler, not deputy director, unless my position is legally necessary. Ask the special counsel to begin with the cameras and the theft report that never existed. If Pike has done this before, the truth will be in the gap between what happened and what they wrote." By noon, veteran civil rights prosecutor Celia Monroe had been appointed to lead an independent task force. Pike and Mercer were placed on administrative leave, their badges and phones collected. At 3:16, Claire released her complete, uncut recording through an attorney. It showed everything: the tag, the offered receipt, the refusal, the badge, Mercer staring at it, and one sentence Pike had left out of his report. "A man dressed like you with a case like that usually means stolen money or drugs." Celia arrived at Chesapeake International before sunset. 61. Close-cropped gray hair, a reputation for distrusting any explanation that grew more detailed after evidence appeared. She went first to the equipment office, where body cameras charged in numbered docking stations. A digital examiner pulled the audit history. At 8:26 that evening, while Malcolm's flight was still taxiing, Pike had pressed a 2-button sequence that disabled recording. Mercer had done the same 9 seconds later. Neither camera had failed. Both had kept logging location the entire time. How long before they approached Mr. Hayes? 14 minutes. In dispatch, Celia listened to the audio from 8 onward. Pike's voice, possible theft suspect at Carousel 7, didn't appear until after Malcolm was already cuffed. No complaint, no bag discrepancy. The gray suitcase's tracking number matched Malcolm's receipt at every point from Chicago to Chesapeake. Pike's written report claimed an anonymous witness, unknown female departed scene. The version history showed that sentence entering the system at 10:12, more than an hour after the detention, typed from the duty commander's login on Pike's terminal. "Preserve the version history," Celia said. "Every keystroke, every login." What remained unexplained was why Malcolm had been chosen. Maya Ortiz arrived with that answer before midnight. a 32-year-old civilian analyst in the airport police division, still wearing her work badge because walking out with an encrypted drive had frightened her more than walking into a federal evidence room. "If I give you this, I lose my job," she told Celia. "If it contains evidence, we can seek protection against retaliation. Tell us why you brought it." Maya explained. 2 sets of numbers existed. One, presented to the airport board, counted contacts, arrests, seizures. The other lived in a restricted folder called Field Notes. It tracked race, estimated income, luggage type, destination, whether a traveler had legal counsels, whether a camera was active. One column was labeled Traveler Leverage. It predicts how difficult a person will be after officers take something from them. Maya said, "Low leverage means alone, flying out soon, no local address, no lawyer. High leverage means connected, informed, local family." Officers were encouraged to avoid high leverage travelers because complaints cost time. 3 months earlier, Maya had shown that black travelers were searched far more often after voluntary contacts, yet those searches found illegal items less often than searches of white travelers. She'd been ordered to remove the racial comparison. When she refused, it disappeared anyway. Her access was cut. Her review called her resistant to leadership. "Why didn't you report it outside the airport then?" "Because I was afraid. Because my mother lives with me. Because everyone authorized to receive a complaint was in the email chain telling me to change the report. I kept the original. I told myself keeping it was the same as doing something. It wasn't." "What changed tonight?" "I saw Pike's report claim a theft. Then I checked the field notes. He'd already entered Mr. Hayes before the contact even began." She unlocked the drive. Inside, raw tables, coded language that sounded neutral until matched against photographs. Premium, urban, cash-friendly, unanchored. 4 minutes before approaching Malcolm, Pike had messaged Mercer. Solo premium at 7. Locked leather case. Easy numbers before shift end. Beside it, a live camera image of Malcolm waiting alone at the carousel, his credentials still inside his coat. There had been no instinct. There had been a calculation. "The official database says contact began at 8:34, Maya said. "The hidden entry was created at 8:32. He selected Mr. Hayes before he asked a single question. How many people were assigned that label? I can prove 116 over 18 months. Celia closed the laptop. "We begin with the people, not the percentage." One name surfaced beside a message from Pike. 2 premium unanchored on the Atlanta arrival. "I'll take the taller one." The taller traveler was Jamal Price, a 32-year-old electrician from Baltimore. 3 years earlier, he'd flown home from Atlanta carrying $8,000 in cash, a deposit from a church that had hired his company to rewire a community center. Pike stopped him near the rideshare exit. His body camera didn't begin recording until Jamal was already in an interview room. Pike claimed a drug dog had alerted on the backpack, though no handler ever logged it, and no drugs were found. Jamal was never arrested. The cash was seized anyway. It took 11 months and $4,000 in legal fees to get it back. By then he'd borrowed money to pay his employees and lost the church contract for missing his materials deadline. He'd filed a complaint. The airport classified it as a disagreement over procedure and closed it without ever calling the church treasurer or reviewing the missing footage. When investigators visited his small electrical shop, Jamal opened a locked drawer and pulled out a folder thick with receipts and certified letters. "I kept every piece of paper," he said. "For a while, I thought I'd get another chance. Later, I kept them because I needed proof. I hadn't imagined the whole thing." He played a voicemail Pike had left after the seizure. "If the money's clean, you can prove it in court." That was the rule at that airport, Jamal said. Innocence was something you had to purchase back. Investigators showed him the hidden entry bearing his name, Traveler Leverage rated low. Beside it, Pike had written, "Remote business, cash dependent, likely depart." He knew I owned a business. He entered it after questioning you. Then he knew taking that money could destroy it. Jamal closed the folder, his anger quiet and old. For 3 years, people said maybe the officer made a mistake. A mistake is taking the wrong suitcase. He measured how badly I could fight him and charged me accordingly. Jamal became the case around which the broader pattern could finally be understood. By the third morning, the task force had enough for emergency preservation orders covering the airport's servers. The chief was suspended for trying to cut Maya's access after learning she'd met with investigators. In the confusion, his remote credentials weren't revoked in time at 4:18, while a forensic team copied the field note server. A red warning flashed on the examiner's screen. A scheduled deletion process had begun against the complaint archive, labeled routine retention cleanup, but targeting 4 years of closed cases and every file linked to the low-leverage list. "Can you stop it?" Celia asked. "I can interrupt the transfer, but it'll resume from another terminal unless airport access is frozen." Naomi called the duty commander and ordered the server room sealed. He refused, citing lack of authorization. Celia took the phone. "Someone is deleting materials under federal preservation demand. Lock the room. If you refuse, I'll put your refusal in the warrant application with the time of this call." The lock engaged 40 seconds later. A technician traced the deletion command to a remote session opened from the chief's own home credentials. A verification code sent to his personal phone less than a minute before the command began. An airport technology manager appeared outside the sealed room, carrying written instructions for emergency data maintenance. The chief had warned him that morning that corrupted files threatened the security network. "Did you verify the corruption?" Celia asked. "I was told the police division had verified it. Did you know about the preservation demand?" He looked at the evidence seals on the door. "I received it yesterday. I asked whether the maintenance should be delayed." He unfolded the instruction sheet. Beneath the chief's signature, "Legal exposure exceeds archive value. Complete before outside imaging." By 5:30, Celia had an emergency warrant. The team recovered the deleted index from a mirrored backup the chief hadn't known existed. Nothing was lost, but the attempt became part of the obstruction charge. Maya watched the copy complete. "If I'd waited one more day, would it all be gone? The public reports would remain," the examiner said. "Everything explaining how they were made would not. That was always the point, wasn't it? Keep the total. Delete the method." The pressure reached Claire that evening. Her employee badge stopped working. A notice cited unauthorized filming in a restricted security area, though the recording had been made in a public concourse. Within an hour, Celia sent the airport a formal warning that retaliating against a federal witness constituted obstruction. The suspension vanished before her flight departed, because they made the same mistake twice, Claire told a gate agent. They thought making someone afraid would make the record disappear. The airport claimed it had just discovered the hidden database. Maya produced an email in which she'd warned the chief months earlier that racial data was being stripped from board reports. His reply, 6 words, "Remove exposure language, keep performance totals." Malcolm learned these details only through formal victim updates. He never called Celia for private briefings, never asked Naomi to speed up arrests. Every request from his office ran through counsel, so no defendant could later claim the FBI deputy director had turned a personal injury into an institutional weapon. That restraint didn't shield him from the public backlash. Pike's union called the stop a reasonable misunderstanding. Commentators replayed a slowed frame of Malcolm's hand near his coat. Anonymous accounts called him arrogant. One posted his home address. Another shared a photo of Evelyn leaving church. Renee began checking the street before work. Malcolm arranged protection for his mother without telling her, until she noticed the same sedan outside 2 mornings running. "I taught school through bomb threats after integration," Evelyn told him. "I'm not moving because a coward found a photograph. I'm not asking you to move. I was about to suggest a temporary adjustment. That's government language for asking your mother to move." She almost smiled. "The agents can stay if they eat what I cook. I won't have hungry people sitting in a car all day." The humor lasted only until night. At 2:17, Malcolm woke with his hand pressed against the bedroom wall. In the dream, the terminal was empty. No phones raised. No one calling his name. Pike kept pulling his cuffed arms upward while every door stayed locked. Renee switched on the lamp. You were saying the same thing, over and over. There was no incident number. You told an armed officer exactly what you were doing and followed every command. I train agents to preserve options. You were trying to find the version where being better at your job would have made his prejudice less dangerous. There is no version like that. I knew the second he refused the tag that he didn't want an answer. I still kept thinking the right sentence could stop him, because you believe words backed by law should matter. He created the moment when they didn't. The next day, Malcolm quietly called the trauma counselor Celia had recommended. He didn't make it public. He didn't turn recovery into evidence of virtue. He simply began separating what Pike had done from the shame Pike had tried to leave behind. Even Mercer moved in the opposite direction. In his first interview, flanked by a union attorney, he remembered almost nothing. Then the audit logs appeared. Claire's video showed him studying the badge. Maya's message log showed Pike's easy numbers text landing on his own phone. He requested a second interview, this time with a private lawyer. My son is 16, Mercer said. He watched the video. He pointed at the screen and said, Dad, you're the one standing there doing nothing. I told him there was context he couldn't see. He asked me, what context makes a lie true? I didn't have an answer. Do you have one now? No. He explained everything. Pike disabling both cameras before voluntary contacts because recorded consent sounded too much like coercion. Pike choosing the travelers, Mercer standing behind him, so it looked like two trained officers had independently spotted danger. If nothing was found, the stop still counted toward performance numbers. If cash was found, they built suspicion around it and let the traveler pay to get it back. Did anyone order you to target black travelers? Not in those words. What words? People outside their expected profile. Premium travelers who looked unencored. Expected by whom? Mercer lowered his eyes. By us. How many reports did you sign knowing the facts were incomplete or false? More than 20. How many times did you stop Pike from using force? Never. Pike, Mercer said, had kept a second phone at home, inside a box of old uniform shirts in the garage. A group chat called Easy Numbers, full of photos of seized cash and jokes about how long travelers would fight. The next morning, federal agents executed the warrant at Pike's house. Cameras recording, warrant shown, counsel offered, every item documented. The second phone was exactly where Mercer said it would be. Its chat linked the hidden data to the people who'd used it, the live image of Malcolm at Carousel 7, beneath Easy Numbers before shift end. A photo of Jamal's cash spread across a patrol car hood captioned, $8 grand from a man with a $2 lawyer. A message from the chief, no clean camera, no clean complaint. Close it and move on. The proof now formed a line no explanation could break. The phone gave the intent. Jamal gave the human cost. Mercer gave the method. Maya gave the design. The cameras and dispatch record gave what happened to Malcolm. Pike's attorney laid 4 items across a table and told him plainly, they don't have one bad judgment call. They have preparation, invention, motive, and a prior victim. Hayes ruined my life, Pike said. Malcolm Hayes didn't turn off your camera. He didn't invent a theft. He didn't write Easy Numbers before shift end. If you can't separate what he exposed from what you did, no lawyer can build that defense. Pike rejected the plea. 31 days after the airport, a federal grand jury indicted Pike, the police chief, and Mercer. Agents arrested Pike at 6:12 the next morning. Cameras on, warrant shown, hands secured by policy. Pike will receive the process he denied others, Celia told reporters. As for power, the evidence existed before Malcolm Hayes ever entered that airport. The question is why a famous title was required before the institutions responsible for seeing it finally looked. 31 days after Malcolm's arrest, the grand jury returned indictments. Pike faced charges of willful deprivation of civil rights, obstruction, falsifying records, and conspiracy. The chief faced obstruction and conspiracy. Mercer faced false statement and civil rights charges, his cooperation to be weighed later. The trial began 5 months after the night at Carousel 7. Claire's full recording played once for the jury, the ignored tag, the offered receipt, the dark cameras. Maya explained traveler leverage in plain language. Jamal brought the church contract and Pike's voicemail. Mercer admitted, without asking for sympathy, that he had done nothing while it happened. Malcolm took the stand last. "What did you feel when Pike laughed at your title?" "Afraid. I'd offered the fastest way to end any legitimate doubt, and he treated proof as another offense. Once reason stopped protecting me, all that remained was an armed officer who'd already decided what my movements meant." "Is it possible investigators pursued this more aggressively because you're the FBI deputy director?" "Yes. My name brought them through the door. That is the problem. But my influence didn't disable cameras, invent a witness, or send a message about easy numbers. The evidence was waiting. My title only made it harder to bury." The jury deliberated 9 hours. In a small waiting room, Malcolm sat with Renee, Maya, and Jamal, talking about everything except the verdict. A reporter on a muted television called Malcolm the man whose arrest exposed the airport scheme. "That's not exactly true," Malcolm said. "My complaint exposed it 3 years ago. Maya's report exposed it 3 months ago. My arrest just made ignoring it expensive." Jamal leaned back. "Do you know what bothered me most? Not losing the money." Walking into the complaint office afterward and watching the supervisor decide, just from looking at us, which one of us sounded official. "Whatever the jury says about Pike," Malcolm told him. "Make sure the record says an institution had the answer and chose the easier story." When the clerk opened the door, guilty on deprivation of civil rights, guilty on obstruction, guilty on falsifying records, guilty on conspiracy. Pike's shoulders dropped with each word. Across the aisle, his sister began to cry. Malcolm felt relief, not triumph. He called Evelyn from the corridor. "They found him guilty, I heard. I told you I was staying home. I didn't say I was turning off the news. How do you feel?" "Like I've been holding my breath for 5 months." "Then breathe. The truth did its work. Now people have to do theirs." At sentencing, Pike spoke of pressure and long shifts, never once saying he had chosen Malcolm, never once saying he had ignored the proof. The judge heard the distance in his words. "An encounter does not lose control by itself," she told him. "You created the conditions, concealed the record, and trusted your uniform to make your account more credible than the travelers." He received a federal prison sentence and a permanent ban from law enforcement. The chief pleaded guilty soon after. Mercer's cooperation earned him a reduced sentence and a permanently revoked certification. The reforms that followed were narrower than the speeches and more useful. Cameras now activated automatically. Seizure money no longer funded the police budget directly. Complaint data went to an independent civilian office no executive could edit. Jamal's legal costs were repaid with interest. The church received written confirmation its money had never been dirty. 16 months after the arrest, Malcolm returned to Chesapeake International with Renee. Through the main terminal, no private entrance. Near Carousel 7, a small screen now exclaimed a traveler's right to refuse a search. As they walked toward the exit, a young black man lifted a suitcase with a torn tag. An officer approached, her body camera chiming on automatically. She asked for his receipt, compared the number, handed back the bag. "Thank you for your time, sir. You're free to go." The whole exchange lasted less than a minute. "Is that what justice looks like?" Renee asked. "Part of it. It looks ordinary. It should." At the garage entrance, Malcolm looked back once at Carousel 7, the place where one officer's assumption had almost become an official fact. Then he turned toward home. The badge stayed in his pocket. What he carried now was a record no one could rewrite.